Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Food Experience. Today's experience, I was sent a Sunmaki single induction cooktop for the purpose of review. I'm going to go ahead and unbox it, go over all the controls, and then try to cook a couple different things in it using a couple different pans. And I'm going to give it a fair and honest review. That's what I do. So let's go ahead and check out the Sunmaki single induction cooktop. Here's a look at the box for the Sunmaki single induction cooker. You'll see some of the specifications here. You're welcome to pause the video if you want to look at them. The left and right side of the boxes have this information. Inside of the box you're going to get one user manual, a warranty card, and the single induction cooker. Also noted in the user manual, the model number is FS-IC316, 1800 watts, and max current is going to be 15 amps. It has a twist tie on the power cord. Going to go ahead and remove that. And it's definitely a nice thick power cord. And it looks like the power cord is about 5 feet. Also to note, it is a two-pronged power cord, therefore a ground connection is not necessary. Let's go ahead and plug it in. Also, I would like to note on the underneath side, you will get a Sunmaki sticker with your serial number, and there's also a fan right here. There are 4 legs, and there are a bunch of screws. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, holding it all together. Being that it is an induction cooker, you're going to need the proper type of pots or pans to use. Now, I have this stock pot right here I recently bought, and you want to make sure that it is magnetic. So there you go. This one's definitely magnetic and it will be compatible. Let's go over the controls. There is a lock right here that will lock all your settings into place while you are cooking. There's also a boiling button, a quick touch button to boil. There's going to be a negative and a positive to increase or decrease values. And there is this function key right here. Next to that you have the power button. These are all soft touch buttons, so I barely press it. You'll notice it comes on. I'm going to press the function button. That's why I put a pot on with water inside it first. And it's going to default to 1200 watts and already the fan is going. I could press this button again and it's going to go to a timer. So you could set up to a 3-hour timer. I'm going to leave that off for now. Press it again and it's going to go to temperature. It's set to 392 by default. You could definitely increase it all the way up to 464. Or lessen it, and it goes in steps, as you could see. For the first demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and boil 2 quarts of water, so that's 8 cups of water. I got a stopwatch here. Go ahead and turn it on. I'm going to use the boil feature and start the stopwatch. And let's see how long it takes. Alright, we just hit the 9-minute mark. And there are some nice bubbles going on. It's not a nice rolling boil yet, but there are some nice bubbles going on. And one thing I want to note, I also took a 16.9 ounce bottle of water and tried to boil that. And that took just under 3 minutes to get to a nice rolling boil. So obviously, the more water you use, the longer it's going to take. And 2 quarts is a lot of water. Look at the water. It's starting to shimmer. There we go. That's the boil I'm talking about. It's starting to get like a rolling boil, and we're almost at the 10-minute mark right now, and it's just going to get more aggressive as it goes. So I mean, that's not too bad. Next test, we're going to make some popcorn. I haven't cooked popcorn on a stove in years. Be curious to see how this comes out. I'm going to be using some Orville Redenbacher's popping and topping buttery flavored oil. They say to add 3 tablespoons of oil. 1, 2, 3. Basically, you just need enough oil to cover the bottom of the pan. Now, I was looking online. They said the ideal temperature to pop popcorn is right around 390 degrees. So I'm not sure what temperature I could choose. Let's go ahead and turn it on. I could already hear the oil starting to kind of get hot. So you could put in a couple kernels. Once they've popped, then you know you're good to add the rest. There we go, there's one. So the second kernel didn't pop, could be a dud. Oh, there we go, never mind. All right, let's go ahead and pour in the rest. You could go ahead and remove it and shake it up. You want to get the popcorn in a single layer. Don't ever shake the pot on top of the cooktop though. You don't want to scratch the glass. And let's see how this goes. And I am using 1/3 of a cup of popcorn. I probably could have put a little bit more in there, but I'm just doing this for testing purposes. And you want to keep an eye on it. You don't want to burn the popcorn. That's pretty dang quick. Honestly, I think that's like just as quick as it would be in a microwave. And with a microwave, you kind of get that popcorn that if you let it sit there, it gets all rubbery. This way is going to be a lot better. And I think that's it. Any more, it's going to start burning. I could already tell by the smell. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the top and pour it into a bowl. Yeah, some of the ones at the bottom got a little bit burned. I left it in for a little bit too long. But it really did a pretty good job. Next time I'm just going to have to keep an eye on it. Next I got a few tablespoons of butter. And not quite sure what heat to leave it at, but going to go ahead and set it for maybe 280. Look at that. The butter's like already starting to melt. That was almost instantaneous. You turn up the heat a little bit more. Butter's definitely melting pretty good. I'm at 320 degrees. I could certainly increase it. 356. We'll leave it at that. I don't want the butter to burn, that's for sure. I'm going to turn it back down again. But it definitely does a fine job. Normally I would melt butter in the microwave, but I thought I would give it a try on this, since I know this fry pan is definitely induction compatible. It's almost done. Didn't take long at all either. And that's about it. Don't want to let it burn. And turn it off. And let's go ahead and pour it over the popcorn, huh? So there you have it. You saw the popcorn I popped. Let's give it a try. Very nice. I'm really digging this cooktop. So I'd say overall the popcorn is a success. I had a little bit of burnt kernels at the bottom, or burnt popcorn, but now I know, take it off a little bit earlier next time. But all in all, not too bad. So there's popcorn. Let's check out another thing or two. All right, it's time to cook up a New York steak. Picked this up at the supermarket today. I would say it's maybe a 1/2 inch thick. Not the thickest steak. Then again, my store doesn't really have them. But I thought it would go good to be cooked in a cast iron skillet. I have a real inexpensive cast iron skillet I got off of Amazon. It has a really low wall, and that should accommodate this just fine. So first what I got to do is let this get to room temperature and also season it up. I'm not really a fan of the rosemary thyme deal that a lot of people do. I'm really like into the rubs and that kind of thing instead. So even though I may do it this way and you may do it another way, just know that steaks are kind of a personal preference, all right? So let's go ahead and get down to it. All right, so here's the steak. I decided to go ahead and turn it into a boneless New York strip steak. Just my personal preference. Again, steaks are a preference. But one thing you want to do that I've been watching a bunch of different YouTube videos and learning stuff about cast iron cooking is you definitely want to make sure the meat is nice and dry. So I'm going to go ahead and pat it with a paper towel. Make sure it's nice and dry because we want it to get a nice sear and a nice char going on, and I'm going to do it to the other side as well. There we go. Next I'm going to go ahead and brush on some oil, and I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing with the other side. Next I'm going to apply the rub. I'm going to use Kinder's wood-fired garlic. Normally I put together my own rubs, but I won these in a giveaway. Might as well use them, and this stuff's actually not too bad at all. Got some salt, onion, paprika, all kinds of good spices in there. And I'm going to be very generous because I like a good seasoned steak. Some people just like salt and pepper, and other people like other spices, like me. So there's one side. And let's go ahead and get the other side. There we go. So I'm going to let it sit out, get to room temperature, and a little bit before I'm ready to cook it, I'm going to go ahead and heat up the cast iron skillet that you see right there. And I tested it earlier. It is magnetic and it should work fine on this cooktop. Okay, so here goes nothing. I'm not going to lie when I say I'm a little nervous about this because I've never cooked a steak this way. But first thing we're going to do is add a little bit of oil, even though this pan has been seasoned. And here goes nothing, right? Alright, so I'm just going to let it sit there a couple minutes. I may even bump up the heat a little bit. Good thing about this induction cooktop, it doesn't take but a second for the heat to rise. And that's as hot as it goes, 464 degrees. It's definitely starting to smell really good, I'll say that. So let's go ahead and try to flip this over, see what we're looking at. Oh yeah. Definitely looking nice. Wow, this pan slides around very easily on here, I will say. In fact, I think I'm going to let some of that fat melt down a little bit. Okay, let's see what kind of temperature we're looking at now. Wow, it's already like where I want it to be. See, that's the problem with a thin steak. And I was going to add some butter, which I'm going to do now. Normally I'd want to spoon it over on top, but not really supposed to scratch the surface of these. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to give it another flip onto the butter and do it that way. Dang it, got some on the cooktop. And I'll go ahead and turn it back over again. And it looks like some of that fat did render off. That's nice. Yeah, 147. I only had it on a couple minutes. Man. So yeah, it's about time to pull it off. Like, it's already going to be way past where I'd like it to be. So alright. Gonna grab it off. Here's what the other side looks like. Top side got a nice crust though. Now I'm going to let it rest for about 5 minutes. And in this time we could go ahead and turn off the cooktop. Okay, time is up. Let's cut into this bad boy and see what we're looking at. I was probing it in different spots and it may not be too bad. Alright, here goes. Definitely tender. Wow. Yeah, look at that. Not too shabby at all. Alright, I'm going to cut off a few small pieces. Very juicy, as you could tell. But super tender. Look at that. I mean, it just cuts through it like butter. Yeah, not too bad. So yeah, let's go back up top and we'll check it out. Alright, I'm actually pretty surprised by the way it came out. Let's go ahead and sample it. Oh wow. Totally juicy. Tender as could be. I'm really surprised since it really is that thin of a steak. It's got a nice buttery flavor. I could taste garlic. Of course, I could taste the steak. It's really good. Pretty impressed, actually. Now I know what to do when they only have thin steaks available. This is the way to do it. So there you have it, steak in a cast iron skillet on the Sunmaki induction cooktop. One more thing I'm going to do. We're going to try some scrambled eggs. I'm going to be using 3 large eggs. Going to go ahead and crack them. I like to crack them in a little container. Then go ahead and put the lid on the container and then give them a good shake. Just shake them around. Everything will get nice and scrambled. To me, it's a lot easier doing this than the traditional method with a fork. That should do it. Next, I'm going to take a knob of butter, put it in the fry pan. Next, turn on the power. Gonna set to temperature mode, and I guess 356 will be okay. Want to get close to 350, and just let that butter melt. It shouldn't take long. This cooktop heats up nice and quick. And I like to coat the whole pan. That way none of the eggs want to stick. Even though this is a pretty non-stick pan, I will say. But the butter also adds another good dimension of flavor to the eggs. And you don't have to wait for it to get completely melted. That should actually be good. Next, I'm going to pour in the egg mixture. Everything is so fast with this induction cooktop, and you really want to keep those eggs moving. You don't want to let them sit there for a while or any amount of time, because then they're going to firm and you don't really get scrambled eggs, you know? And what you may want to do is remove it from the heat a little bit. It will beep when you do that. Keep stirring, keep everything moving. Put it back on. Some people like to add sour cream or creme fraiche. I like my eggs to be a little firmer than that. But basically about 30 seconds on and 30 seconds off. Same way I would do it over a regular stovetop. But I'll tell you what, this worked a lot faster. Usually with a regular stovetop, I'm sitting there waiting for everything to come to temperature for quite a while. And with this, it like happened instantly, like less than 30 seconds. Go ahead and put it back down. Definitely keep it moving. Wish there was a way to turn off that beeping, but I get why they have it. One of those safety features, you know. But things are starting to look a little bit more firm now. And as things start really firming up, then you could start adding in some salt and pepper. Just be careful, because if you do it on the cooktop, then they're going to really start firming up way too much. So I'm going to keep it off the heat for a second. Going to add some pepper and some Himalayan pink salt, and then put it back on, and they're just about done. Really depends on how firm you like the eggs. I like them a little bit more on the firm side, but I definitely don't like them dried out either. So there's that fine line between when they're done and when they get dried out. And that looks just about right there. Scrambled eggs. That was the fastest I've ever made scrambled eggs, I must say. So there you have it, folks. From boiling water to a couple different cooking demonstrations. That's what you should expect with the Sunmaki 316 model number. Overall, I think it worked great. Now, we got to go over pros and cons, right? We'll go over the cons. There really isn't any. One thing is I wish the beeping could be disabled. A lot of products these days, they have that beeping and you can't really disable them. It's not just limited to this one. All my air fryers do the same thing. I really wish companies would think ahead and put a mute button on their function panel. That would be great, you know. As far as anything else goes, there aren't really any other cons. There's some things you want to consider. Definitely make sure you have magnetic cookware. I showed you at the beginning, make sure a magnet sticks to the bottom of the cookware. That way you know it's compatible. The only other thing is you want to make sure that whatever pan you're putting on it fits within that circular pattern that's on the top of the cooktop. Make sure it's definitely within that range, okay? Otherwise, I'm not exactly sure what to expect. because all my pans fit within that, but I know it's something the manufacturer definitely tells you about. Another thing is try to plug it directly into an outlet, and don't plug it into an outlet where other appliances are going to be used at the same time. You can have other appliances in the same outlet area, but just don't use them at the same time. This thing draws 1800 watts, and it's definitely a lot of power. So if you do combine it with other items and your circuit breaker flips off, then you know it was too much of a load. So really, I mean, that's about it. Now, as far as the pros go, this thing heats up super quick. You saw with the scrambled eggs, I was able to fix them in like no time at all. From cold to the scrambled eggs being done, I want to say that was probably less than 5 minutes. That's pretty dang good. And you saw what happened when I cooked a steak. That was like super quick. Even though it was a super thin steak, it was really quick, you know? So anyhow, it's a thumbs up, definitely. I like the controls. I like the layout. I like that you could select between wattage or temperature. I personally would go with temperature all the time unless I'm boiling water. Then I like that convenient one-tap boil feature they have. I think that's really great. I also like the lock function. That way, in case you bump into it accidentally, you're not going to turn things off or change the settings or anything like that. I think they call it a child lock or something like that, but whatever it is, it doesn't matter. It's a nice lock option. I really like that idea. I also like that it has a fan to cool things off. Some may say the fan is, a little bit noisy because they're not used to a cooktop having a fan. But for me, it really wasn't that loud at all. So it's a little bit larger than my standard hot plate warmer that I got, but it cooks things a lot faster. It heats up a lot faster. Way so many more benefits of using something like this. And there you have it. There's my review. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please drop me a line in the comments below. I love hearing from you guys and interacting with you. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I got all kinds of good stuff coming up. So with that being said, I'm going to wish you all a very stellar day. Be excellent. And most of all, remember me. I'm KJ Andio, your food experience host with the most. Y'all take care, and I'll see you next time.